First of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Tom Erickson. I'm CEO of Ultimed. We're a medical device company based out of St. Paul. We have manufacturing in some other locations in western Twin Cities. But for sales, marketing, and general management, we're located in Lowertown. We also own the building in Lowertown, and we're also residents of Lowertown. So I guess we're threefers. We own property there, we have a business there, and we also live there. And myself and my wife Sandra, who's around here someplace. There you are. And Sandra is our building manager. We have the Allen building, which is, we can show it to you a little bit later, which is just next to the ballpark. And in the process of having the Allen building over time, we had what seemed to us at the time little problems with the city for one reason or another. And Dave Thune is sitting here just to the left of me, to the right of you, and he's been just absolutely fantastic. Regardless of political, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Green, or whatever you are, it's really appreciated, very much so, when we have a representative that takes his job real seriously. And if you come to him with a problem or something doesn't work right or whatever, he and his staff are right on it. And I understand Dave is not running again this fall, and I just hope that whoever replaces him is half as good as Dave. And so when we started running, and this, I mentioned our problems before seemed big, but now they seem small compared to this one. And how it started off was, of course, everybody knows about the ballpark and supporting the ballpark. It seems like a great idea. We were in favor of it. It seemed like a wonderful thing to do, and it wasn't just until maybe our negligence or whatever, until a couple of months ago that we discovered that we were losing the parking for our building, and about the same time the Rayette was closing down. That's the other parking for our building in Lowertown, and there was nothing to replace it. We looked at the ballpark plans and it just didn't. Oh my God, we all of a sudden came from looking forward to something happening to just almost being scared about it. And we talked to other people in the neighborhood, and they had equal concerns, and that started off the project here a couple of months ago on some warm weather days in January when we had that heat wave in January, if you remember that. And we started walking around the property over there and came up with the idea as we looked at the Gillette building. We thought, why in the world are they tearing this thing down? Look at that basement in particular we kind of focused in on. We were aware of how it was constructed and what was under there, and we took some measurements of the building and just concluded that this thing could hold over 600 cars in the lower level. If you just had a single level parking, not even some years later, if you need more, it's deep ceilings, so you could put in another level. We're not talking about that for right now, but it's a massive area, and we thought, why not use that and put the ballpark on top, because that building is built so tough. So we were thinking along these lines and wondering why this didn't happen, and then we met Bill Hoskell. And Bill, we found out, I didn't even know Bill 2 months ago, and all of a sudden I've begun to know him quite well. And we found out that Bill and his activism around downtown St. Paul had been talking about this for a couple of years. And he, independently of us, said, what are they doing with this building here? It has a lot of opportunity. And so we kind of merged forces and add some suggestions. Bill's done a lot of changes to his plan. I think maybe a couple of years ago they called it Hoskell's plan, and now I think it's probably a neighborhood plan, yes, with all the input that it's received. And it's just one plan. There can be other plans, but it does incorporate the incorporation of the Gillette building. We're on a time path here right now. Like I said, it just has us scared to death. Starting in the 1st of April, part of the Gillette parking lot's going to be closed, and they're going to use that area that they're closing for starting to demolish the Gillette building and bringing in sections of it into that area to transport it out. And we became very worried about it, because once it's like going over a waterfall in a barrel. Once you've started down over the thing, it's too late to say, hey, let's reverse this thing. I mean, it's just really a irreversible thing. We think an irreversible opportunity, and we started calling out to, hey, somebody look at this. This thing we're ruining the opportunity of Lowertown here. It's a great idea, but let's kind of revisit this thing. And frankly, it's been quite a disappointment. This is why we're having this meeting here today. there are two committees going on. There's the city has a parking committee and they have a ballpark committee, which it's difficult for people like yourself or us to have any input in. It's very little time at the end, and then we were told by the ballpark committee that we couldn't talk about parking. We had to go to the parking committee and went to the parking committee and we're told we can't talk about putting parking in the ballpark because that's the ballpark's domain. So we're like a ping pong ball going back and forth.
It's the truth.
And not getting anything done. And this, frankly, is the reason why this meeting was said, we'd like to have a meeting unlike what the city has had.
A real community meeting.
And we're going to try to keep this thing short. In other words, we hope to have an hour and a half here from 7 to 8:30. We started a little late. But we're going to try to roar through this thing, not cover this thing as intensively as we all could, and let you people have the last half of the meeting, hopefully the last 45 minutes, or we'll be here till midnight if you want to be here. But at least for those of you that have other things scheduled, or hockey game or whatever you're going to tonight, just we're going to try to leave the last half for questions from you people. The objective what's our goal on this thing? Our goal is to stop demolition of the Gillette building. We think this thing is going on a fast track. We want everybody to sit back and take a few breaths and count to 10, do some studies which have never been done to find out the feasibility of this thing and other ideas rather than race to do something that once you've started, like I say, it's like off the falls in that barrel and you just can't turn around and go backwards. And our two objectives are...
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. We may... apologize, the microphones weren't here. There was two handhelds, came in at 4 today, and they weren't working. We may have two now. Megan's going to try to put them on, perhaps Tom and Dave.
Well, I'll try to get, because like I said, we're racing through this thing, and I already think I've burnt up my time. But our two objectives is to replace the lost parking. That's number one. That's what got us going in the first place. But then the other thing, and the thing that Bill has been working on for a long time, and other people in the neighborhood, is to try to maximize the economic activity of Lowertown. In other words, whatever is put in that spot, it's just not a seasonal baseball facility, but it's built in such a way that it offers a lot more opportunity year-round, and that'll really help. So we're parking in the opportunities. These are the two things, and we're going to have some speakers come up right after me that are quickly, in 5 or 6 minutes, going to address some of their issues with parking, and then we're going to go to the activity. Could you put up that second picture here just for a second? So you guys know what we're talking about, the other one. The next one.
That's a view from the top of Gaultier Plaza over at the site.
Yeah.
Behind us, the Lafayette Bridge. 94 is heading up to the north, out to the east towards 3M.
Yeah, this is the next one. This right here, the reason why I've got this is that it kind of, you can visualize in your head again very quickly here. This is what the Gillette building, you've all seen it, but I talked about the lower level for parking. The Gillette building, when it was built back in the 1960s, we've been told, I don't know if this is for sure, but that this was the largest pre-stressed concrete building built in the United States. It's got over 200,000 square feet on 3 concrete floors. It's got concrete pilings in here that run up from the ground all the way up to the ceiling every 27 feet. I mean, literally, you know, they say if you dropped a nuke on St. Paul, the one building that would be standing is this one. It is really built tough. It's built for trucks to actually come in and park on it. You can see a big truck loading thing here. This is a 26 height. And this area right here, this thing, which goes all the way to the end of the building, it's a big vacant space. Tim Hughes will come up later. He's been in there. He's seen it. And it's just like, it's built. It's a parking lot that's built. And other than the fact that you need to put some, you know, a ramp and an area to come in on Broadway, but other than that, it's really almost built. And so this is what we focused in on, and this, of course, is what others have focused in on. Is how about the rest of this? And the concept that Bill is going to get into in much more detail is, rather than knocking this whole thing down, is sculpting, if you will, the ballpark on the adjacent ground here. By the way, this is the parking that's all being lost. 335 slots on here, and also on-street parking there. And that's what we're losing. But the concept is to, and Bill will get into it. But like I say, I got this here so when we talk about the lower level parking, This is what we're talking about here, and this is what Bill and others are going to be talking about for economic development for the Lowertown community going on into the future. And so with that, what I'd like to do is jump into the parking thing, and Matt Gross, oh, hold it, no, Chuck. Chuck is coming up and talking about it. And what we're talking about here is, go back to the other picture. Well, okay, we can look at this one too. Here's the Gillette building. Matt is in this. This is called the Market House Condominiums. And they have, he'll tell you the story about that. This is our Allen building right here, and this is the farmer's market. And we feel that these three properties right here are the ones that are most adversely affected by this thing. We're totally 100% confident about this. With the farmer's market itself, we believe, and we think there's justification for that belief, that if the city goes forward with their plan and the construction, it's going to start this summer, because all this area, there's not enough on-street parking for the market house people, or the farmer's market people. Okay, no, for the farmer's market people to park. So they use this lot. They walk back and forth with their bags. If that parking is taken away from them, people are going to start going to other farmers markets. The farmers that use this come in with their trucks of produce. They're going to say they got a field and they got to sell it someplace. They're going to start, and this place is going to wither awfully fast. It's got a very fragile business model that we believe that within a year after this is done, there might not be any more farmers market. And this is just tragedy. But anyways, go ahead. Tell them. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Chuck Hauge, and I live at the farmer's market. I've actually lived there for now just over 17 years. So I've been here a long time. My wife has actually been there about 20.
At the market house.
At the market house. At the market house.
Lower your voice.
And so that, as Tom mentioned, is the market house right here. Right up here is actually our parking. The market house has actually been a viable institution for about 30 years. We've sorry. Speak up?
Speak up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've, sorry about that. So we've been there for about 30 years, the market house has. We've been parking in that lot for 30 years. And we've just been told now that the city's going to be taking that over and building a ballpark, which is great. However, we haven't been given any option for parking at this point in time. We have 56 spots in that parking lot right now. And we've done some investigation to try and find parking anywhere around the Lowertown area. And we found right now about 4 spaces so far that would be available for us for long-term parking. That is long-term parking. Like I said, we own it now. It's going away. And we'd like parking if we could get some, if it were available. And so we're open to any options that are going to be coming up. And we hope that the city is able to find something for us.
What does this do to the value of your units, losing the parking?
Good question, Tom.
Chuck, there's what's proposed right now.
Right.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yep. So that's this is what's proposed right now. So our parking lot would be about right in this area right up here.
Okay.
And so that's going to be a little bit difficult in terms of we don't have any options for parking in this particular scenario. There's no place actually on this design plan right now where we could park. In terms of our market values, as Tom was mentioning too, and that is that our market value is going to potentially plummet. We certainly won't have the market value that we would have if we had long-term parking. And this is kind of, it's a shame, because we do own that parking lot now. And we thought we had long-term parking, and that may not happen. But given potential plans that Bill Hosko has come up with, it might give us the option to have parking for our building for a long-term use.
Okay, Sandra?
If I could, forgive me.
A little louder, Sandra.
Speak up.
I tried typing this out on a new computer and it didn't go well, so I'm going to have to read my scribbles here.
Louder.
Louder?
Yes. Shout it.
Okay. I'd like to read you a letter that I sent to one of the people hired to design the ballpark. It makes clear the dilemma we face. Now?
Why don't you come up and talk in the microphone?
Sandra, come up here.
Sandra, you're just not hearing.
Come on.
Give her a mic.
Enjoyed that.
How about a megaphone?
She doesn't like getting up in front
I
of
can't
crowds.
see. Okay.
Here, put your notes right in front of his computer there. You can read that.
I need a bright light.
That mic's on too.
No. Okay. I went online and pulled up the downtown St. Paul parking guide current as of 11/2012. Can you hear me?
Get closer to the mic. That's what it's there for.
No family problems.
I went online and pulled up the downtown St. Paul parking guide current as of 11/2012. The parking lots that are convenient for my tenants and that they are willing to walk to. And I wish I was able to put the map up on the thing here, but if you go online, you can pull it up. That's what I was told by the planning commission, I think it was, and that's what I did, and this is what I found. This morning I've been checking with each of these facilities and have found the following. The lots that are convenient to walk to are lots number 65, 66, 68, 69, and 71. Lot 65 is closed for construction. Number 66 is closed permanently. Number 68 is full. Number 69 does not offer contract parking and is full with just regular first come, first served parkers. And number 71 is the Diamond Products lot closing for the proposed ballpark. As you can see, there is no convenient parking, available contract parking. My tenants will not and should not be expected to walk blocks in our ever-changing weather conditions, and also safety is a major concern for many of my female tenants and male who leave in the evenings, sometimes as late as 9 p.m. or later. Walking up past the bus stop by the Super America station on 7th and Wall Street is not acceptable to most. There are some pretty questionable characters that tend to hang out there. Going the other direction toward Union Depot is also not an option. Most of our people carry briefcases, have samples, presentation materials, etc., and do not want or expect to have to walk that far. They have had convenient, affordable parking to this point, and that has been an important aspect of my ability to lease space in our building. At this point, there is no solution to this problem. Once the last of these lots, the Gillette building, is closed, my tenants are left with no good options. I'm still struck by the lack of understanding of this parking problem by those involved when the project was first undertaken, with the removal of 300 plus parking slots being removed and not replaced. Since the inception of this project, conditions have only gotten worse as more condos and apartments have been built in this immediate area and more ramps have closed. We are looking at a whole new ballgame in 2013 than in 2009. For that reason alone, it seems imperative to take a look at this from a whole new perspective. Parking committee tells me, look at the maps of the parking lots, and they show parking ramps all over the city, but those lots are basically irrelevant for our purposes. We in this Lowertown area are kind of in a separate little bubble of the city. Many on the parking committee have been pushing an agenda, seemingly pushing an agenda, and seem to think that light rail and biking are the solutions, but this is ridiculous. In fact, just this past Tuesday, the mayor in his State of the City address made the comment, and I quote, "Ease of commuting by bike is a critical component of making our city attractive to a new generation of workers." What about us now? Yeah, that statement alone shows how out of touch he is with our parking issues right now, right here in Lowertown. I'm happy those options are available, but there needs to be some courtesy given to those that choose to drive cars. No one likes to be forced to use a particular mode of transportation. It appears, and this was to Dave, it appears that Dave is willing to take a fresh look at our existing situation, and we are most appreciative. Our property value is at stake, and the viability of attracting new tenants is gravely affected by this lack of safe, convenient parking. And then I'll just take one more minute and just read a couple other comments from another letter that I had written. I believe we offer a strong case for the parking issue that doesn't leave much room for argument. Our ability to attract new tenants is being severely affected. Consequently, our building value stands to be significantly reduced with the loss of this parking. My tenants' businesses will also be severely compromised by not having convenient parking to offer to their employees. Market house condo owners will lose value for their properties as well, and survival of the farmer's market depends on convenient parking. The dog park is also going away. I think that's an issue for many. There's another fact that cannot be denied. Replacing parking spaces for those being taken away was never part of the task given to Ryan Construction and Nelson Tietz and Hoy. The Lowertown parking situation has changed so significantly since they were hired as a design team to build a ballpark that it feels, as I said before, imperative that they take a fresh look at this situation. Any willingness to include parking in their plan to this point has not been shown, and I feel that unless they are directed to do so, their design plan will continue as originally planned at our expense.
Thank you. And it was a great letter that she put there, I thought. But now we have to hustle on and try to get this on in a time frame. And next it's going to be Bill Hoskell, and he's going to put together a presentation. Okay, go ahead.
Before I begin, again, sorry about the microphone. We came in here yesterday. They showed us 3 microphones, came in at 4, and there was only 1. I apologize. Dave, you've not said any words yet, if you'd like to. And then you are not, your term is not up this fall. It's up in 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2.5
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
Some people are counting. I'm really glad to see all of you out here because there's no way anything will change unless people like you speak up and speak out and let people know that there ought to be a change. I feel really sad about this because I was excited when we first started talking about the Saints. I love the idea of a ballpark downtown. Unfortunately, this project was not started, just like earlier this year, and include citizen participation in the design. It was started about 2 years ago, and as I can't remember if it was Bill or whoever said, parking was not included as one of the tasks that the people designing this ballpark were asked to do. And it's obvious. This is going to be probably the nicest minor league ballpark that can also be used by youth leagues, probably in the country. But as far as what this does to the neighborhood it sits in, it actually brings nothing to Lowertown, and in fact exacerbates the problems that we have with parking. I drove around 3 blocks just to get here today. Parking has really become a premium downtown, and especially in Lowertown, because of some of the changes we've made, some of the construction we've done, but also some of the choices we've made to expand the streets used to bikes and buses and light rail. But now on top of that, if what we do is remove hundreds and hundreds of parking spots, what we're doing is a huge disservice to the people who live here and the people who work here and the people who have jobs that make the jobs here. I hope you'll listen carefully. I really appreciate people that are willing to speak up, even if the government says do this. I love it when people say, hold it, we're the people. And I like it when people show alternatives. Now, maybe every single aspect of every alternative that's being tossed out doesn't work out, but the idea is that we need to stop, take a look around, and be willing to change and be open to change. And that's what I hope we'll be moving for as you talk. Like I say, nothing will change unless you all speak up. And there's ways that you can send emails out to the entire city council. If you look at the city's website and the city council, there's letters, there's phone calls you can make. But again, nothing will happen. I think today was the first day I started getting a few emails, but nothing will change unless you speak out. So it's kind of up to you. The ideas are here, the alternatives are out there, but somebody's got to ask that they be done or demand that they be done. Thanks.
I do want to say thank you for coming tonight. 2 years ago, December of 2010, somebody slipped one of the first conceptual illustrations of the city's proposed ballpark under my gallery door. I don't know who that was. And I looked at it, and maybe there's ways of making this better. So in January of 2011, I did the first site plan and a perspective drawing. And since that time, over my lots of conversations with countless people, city staff, even the saints, the idea has slowly grown, and then more recently it's grown significantly to include this large amount of parking on the lower level of the facility. This is all attainable, it really is. I'm about to show you a video that I helped put together with a young man last summer. So now realize that parking has changed in the lower level. I'll go through that after the video is done, but you might enjoy this. And there are napkins outside now if you need them after your popcorn. Megan's helping me with this. Community input will help determine the actual design. Isn't that beautiful? Craigslist can help me do that. It's over in northeast Minneapolis. I rode my bike over that, I don't know, probably 10 days in a row in 100-degree heat last July. That is real. That's achievable for us. It is. In everything I could possibly say, that's achievable, what you just saw. I'm going to go right now through a PowerPoint presentation of a lot of what you've seen, but I'm going to go through it rather quickly because there's been some changes in the last couple of months. And again, I stress, since meeting Tom and Sandra and Matt, I've gotten to know you better, and Chuck and all these other people, this thing continues to improve. And Mr. Hughes, where are you at, Tim? There you are. Yeah. Okay. You know, when you look at an aerial photograph of downtown St. Paul, one thing stands out above all others. It's that building. And there you go. And all of us have seen that view 1,000 times. And I've heard from a lot of people that, you know, the building's ugly. And, you know, from an artistic standpoint, I view the building as more of a blank canvas. There's really nothing offensive about it. It's a big 1 block by 2 block box. And to change the facade to represent that, that's very realistic, and, you know, it can be done on a budget. The new parking area that I'm going to talk about in a little while, because of some of the people in this room, you would access it right at the end of the 5th Street here and drive right into the building. You know, recent photos, I was out there this morning, the OEM building, light rail maintenance facility is getting near completion. This is the Saints site right now. One thing that really stands out almost more than their ballpark is their lot next door. How many people in this room have been out to the Midway Stadium? Most of you. It's actually a very charming place. That parking lot's very important to the facility, and that's going to go away pretty much for the city plan, it appears. There's Gillette Today. You've heard about the parking and who owns what and who's going to be affected by this. That's the city's conceptual ballpark plan. And folks, I've never ever said that this is a bad plan. I mean, it'll be a nice ballpark. It'll be a good ballpark. But my big concern is it will sit unused much of the year. And we just can't afford to spend $54 million, most of it public, on something that's going to bring so little return. And there's a conceptual drawing showing a cutaway of the building very quickly here. I wanted to stress the playing field is the dimensions that are required for minor league baseball. You see that line? You see that? That's W. That's west. A lot of you are hearing that the batters are going to be blinded by sun. It's not true. If that projector is the pitcher and I'm the batter, the longest day of the year is June 22nd, correct? And every day after that, the sun's going to slowly. The sun will not be setting that way. It'll be setting over that way. Okay, that's a fact. And it will be setting there up on June 22nd. So what's going to happen is a lot of the building will provide a shadow over the field. And then as the sun gets a little bit further into the sky in, by mid-July or so, the Allen building, actually, which is 4 stories taller than this, is going to cast a long shadow. And then there's a small time period when you're going to perhaps need some screening for the batters. Somebody suggested, why don't you install a 50 by 50 foot canvas between the outfield light posts and just pull it over as needed, kind of a screen, put advertising on it. It's doable. And there's a cutaway section. I did this drawing in January of 2011. If you look in the right corner. And what's happened since I've met Tom and a few other people these last few months, the playing field has actually moved up to street level before it was dug down into the ground. There's a lot of question about how will the sun affect the playing field. And again, if you're in the corner of the building, this is getting into July at the point. The sun's going to be setting over here. And this is that screen that I talked about. It's a very unusual way of dealing with it, but it deserves consideration. Velodrome. I was up fixing my bike at a shop up on Selby Avenue, and the people up there knew about this concept. This is going back a year ago now. And they were talking about their members of the velodrome. Do you know what a velodrome is? No. It's a bike racing facility. It's up in Blaine. Okay. Their facility is getting old, and we need to get them moved into the core cities as well. And you could conceivably put them on the roof. I'm not going to get into the details of how you would do it structurally, but it can be done. They would then share the amenities built into the multi-use ballpark concept. So then you have a real year-round economic engine on your hands. They sent me a photo of a track that's actually smaller than what they have up in Blaine. This one's in Ghent, Belgium. It seats 5,000. I took those same dimensions, and you can fit it on top of the OEM building. And here we're getting back to the Gillette building again today. And that's where that parking would go into. How many of you know about the Holiday Inn across from the XL Energy Center? Okay. Do you remember what that used to look like before Holiday Inn bought it? It looked like the offspring of this building. It was concrete. There was little stripes through the concrete. I remember people said the building's ugly, tear it down. Well, Holiday Inn got a hold of it. They changed the facade and doubled the room rates. It's a big success. So that building has a lot of potential. There's an elevation. You know, I attempted to share this with Mayor Coleman 2 years ago. He wouldn't look at it. That's the truth. He would not look at it. And that's a sad thing, I think, for this city. But I then did meet with Mike Beck of the Saints 2 years ago next month to talk about it. He actually loved the concept. I think politics have changed things a little bit since then. But one thing about that building I want to tell you about is this is the side that faces the Lafayette Bridge. You've all seen it. The level of the Lafayette Bridge coming past is right about there. Okay. Look at the huge billboard opportunity for whoever goes in there. You know, the Saints. You know. I just remembered, is there a Mr. Masood Yunus in the audience here? Come up here. Mr. Masood Yunus. He's a former president of the Minnesota Cricket Association. Okay, there are legitimate tenants that could go into this. One is cricket. The Twin Cities Model Railroad Museum is worth consideration. And then the Velodrome is a phase 2 concept. Mr. Masood, I had the pleasure of meeting last summer. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about the value he sees in this concept. Nice to see you.